Daeran ultimate build for unfair. If it works on unfair, it will work on all other difficulties as well. Daeran might be the strongest companion in the game for unfair. What he provides and how I build him, he gives us tons of healing, crowd control, buffs, debuffs, amazing AoE damage, a very solid single target damage, and he's probably the fastest unit on a map. So, all around, best companion in the game. Let's go and see what I did with him and how I made him valid for unfair. As I said, Daeran is an unfair beast, and his stats here don't show it at all, alright? Not so big saves, armor class is low, attack is low, but he's still the best. How is that possible? Very simple. It's an oracle, and the spells are just way too good, and the biggest number of spells in the game belongs to Daeran. Now let's take a look at skills for Daeran. What we need on Daeran is Persuasion, Knowledge Arcana, and Knowledge World. That's all you need, and that's everything I have to say about skills. Forget about the rest, only these three, and we move on. Now let's take a look at Daeran's inventory. For a helmet, of course, we're gonna need Perfection, or this one for Charisma Intelligence with inside bonus on saving throws later on. Till then, the most important stat that you can grab early in the game for a helmet will be Helmet with Charisma. During Act 1 and Act 2, you will want to carry Phylactery of Positive Channeling. After you switch to Act 3, so once you're done with Dresden, you will start using Charisma helmets towards perfect helmets. That will give plus 2 Charisma, Wisdom, and Intelligence, plus 6, plus 8, and so on. For Amulet for Daeran, this one is the only valid amulet in the entire game. For goggles, you can use Cinder goggles or any other goggles earlier that will boost his spell damage early on. There is only one armor you can carry, and that would be Robe of Fire. Same can be said about Under Armor, you want those that boost damage per dice rolled. By far, the best cape for Daeran is Cloak of Carnage, because it boosts Evocation. The first ring for Daeran is Ring of Pyromania. You will figure out why later on. The second ring, and the most important one for Daeran, would be Red Salamander. For bracers, bracers of armor from plus 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to plus 9. Malender's Insult is the best belt that you can equip on Daeran. It will turn fire damage to unholy, and with it will add extra damage. Very good gloves to equip on Daeran would be Gloves of the Ambassador. For boots, everything that gives immunities, from Freedom of Movement to this Boots of Outbreak that will give immunity to prone and movement speed, or boots that give flat movement speed, are good to go on Daeran. For the weapon, I believe the best one is Ashmaker, a staff for Daeran that will raise his evocation even further. As far as quick item goes, all you need are Quicken, Greater Quicken Metamagic Rods, and Empower Metamagic Rods. So all of these are the same rods. I'll explain how it works later on. Daeran's Mythic Leveling. The first one would be Abundant Casting, so you can cast more spells. The second one would be Spell Penetration, Mythic. The third one would be Battle Meditation. You turn Daeran into a statue and boost all allies around you. Very important early on. The fourth one would be Spell Focus, Mythic, on Evocation. The fifth one would be Ascended Element Fire, so you want to deal more damage with fire. The sixth one would be Lested. Once you're level 7 in Mythic, you're gonna go with Improved Abundant into School Mastery Evocation. Okay, so what we focus is tons of spells, Lested, and Evocations. Spell Focus, School Mastery. 9 would be Greater Abundant Casting, so we have all of those spells in unlimited numbers. And the last one, once you reach Ariel, or better to say, once you start playing the DLC, would be Flame. Flame Mystery merges the best with this build for Daeran. That's 100% valid for Unfair, and he's gonna stomp everything on its path. Now we're gonna check the skills for Daeran and what you should do. Let's start with the easiest part, revelations. You're gonna receive them from time to time. So the first revelation you wanna take is Safe Curing. The next revelation that you'll receive, you're gonna take Spirit Boost. The next revelation, you're gonna take Enhanced Curse Cures. The next revelation is Combat Healer, and the final revelation would be Life Sense. He'll also receive his final revelation, but it's connected to his mystery, so you don't need to worry about it. Daeran comes with a selective channel into the extra channel, and from this moment you start leveling up Daeran. The first feat you want to take is Spell Penetration, then you want Greater Spell Penetration, then you want Spell Focus into Evocation, into Greater Spell Focus Evocation, into Elemental Focus Fire, into Greater Elemental Focus Fire. This is bugged out, but I can already tell you what it is. It's to buff spell Firestorm, so he deals most damage with Firestorm. And the final one I picked is Great Fortitude. This was because I was playing with Aeon. Daeran needs Shake It Off, so you gotta switch Fortitude for Shake It Off. That's the only team feat that Daeran needs. Shake It Off. And this is when you're gonna put it instead of a Fortitude. You can also check the stats for Daeran here, and now we're gonna transfer to abilities, and after that we're off to the Spellbook. I'm gonna hover over every ability for Daeran. You pause when you need to, and off we go. I think he comes with life. I gave him charisma with a book. That's what my Inquisitor gives, immunities. Here we are at Spellbook. From cantrips, Dismiss Spell, Divine Zap, and Guidance for the start. As far as level 1 spell goes, Bless is very important, Burning Hands is also good, Unbreakable Heart is good, and of course Remove Fear. Those 4 would be great for early on. From the second level spells, Bone Shaker, Protection from Alignment Communal, Bull Strength, and Aligned Weapon are the good spells. Of course, everything you see here and how I did it, that's the spells you need to learn, including at the very start with Lesser Restoration. From level 3, Animate Dead will buy you time early on, Prayer is absolutely great, Magical Vestment is valid till the end, Fireball is very good, and of course, valid till the very end is Resist Energy Communal. From level 4, Control Fireball, Death Ward, extremely important, Protection from Energy Communal, extremely important, Freedom of Movement, very, very important, and the most important one would be Restoration, how you see them again, that's how you learn them. From level 5, Life Bubble and Spell Resistance, including Flame Strike and True Seeing, would be the most important spells for Daeran here. Breath of Life is also solid. From level 6, definitely the most important one is Blade Barrier, this is your game winner. Bull Strength, Mass Bull Strength is extremely good, and of course you can't play without True Seeing Communal. Heal is also very good, so these 4 are extremely important, then you learn the rest. From level 7, the most important one is Firestorm, because this entire build revolves around Firestorm. Resurrection and Restoration Greater, so these would be the most important, these 3. Copy everything later on. On level 8, again we have Firestorm. One comes from a ring, the other one comes from Daeran's leveling. I think this one comes from leveling on 8, this one came from a ring. So what's important here, three most important ones would be Holy Aura, Firestorm, and Mass Heal. You need them as fast as you can during leveling, then you can add this other 3. But these 3 are the most important. And the final level, Heroic Invocation, absolutely great. Mass Heal, Winds of Vengeance, and Fiery Body. Those 4 are extremely important. Start off with these 2, Heroic and Heal. Transfer into this 2, and then add whatever spell you like. I did Polar Midnight, but I wasn't using it that often, to be honest. How do we play Daeran? Make sure that you have Melander's Insult on non-stop, okay? It needs to be triggered non-stop. And early in the game, as I said, you're gonna bless your teammates, you're gonna cast Remove Fear Aura. You will cast Weapon align with good, so your allies can deal damage. You will cast Bull Strength before entering the fight. You'll go with Protection from Evil Communal. And once they get negatives, you're gonna remove them with lesser Restoration. Single target damage would be Bone Shaker. Of course, when they start dealing damage with elemental spells, you can always go with resists. Resist fire, sonic, acid, cold, and lightning. From level 3, extremely important to put on your melees is Magical Vestment, okay, for both armor and shield. Resist, Energy Communal, also extremely important. Prayer before you enter the battle. And Animate Dead for crowd control, so they lose time on killing skeletons. Fireball, you can open up fights with Fireball early on. From level 4, we got Protection from Energy Communal, which is extremely important. We got Death Ward, that you don't receive negative levels, and we got Freedom of Movement, so no one can disable your allies. So these would be the most important during battle. Of course, you need Restoration. Nothing to say about it, it just removes every negative there is. Holy Smite might come in handy during dressing. You can open up fights with Controlled Fireball. From level 5, Spell Resist, you cast it on all allies, and Life Bubble, okay, those would be your mega buffs. True Seeing when you can't hit an enemy, and of course Flame Strike deals amazing damage during mid-game. From level 6, Bread and Butter spell, Blade Barriers, you stack them and stack them, all 10 usages, place Scylla in front of it or someone else that has less stand, and watch enemies melt. Aside from Blade Barrier, you need True Seeing Communal and Bull Strength Mass, those would be your top spells. Of course, you also need Heal. Now we transfer into late game, level 7, this is when Daeran becomes a freaking monster, alright? With a Firestorm, how do you use Firestorm? Very simple, you activate Grandmaster's Rod and you cast Firestorm. Then the fight starts. Daeran has solid initiative, which means he's gonna play again in a surprise round after a second or two. You cast it again, okay? The combat started. This is the second cast of Firestorm. You pause, you quickly turn into Greater Quicken Meta Magic Rod and cast 3 Firestorms in less than 3 seconds. That's a lot of damage. It covers the entire screen. It melts enemies. Combine with Blade Barrier, alright? Firestorm with Blade Barrier, with, for example, Nenio Tsunami. If you can cast all of that in 3 seconds, and I know you can because I was doing it non-stop, that's an amazing amount of damage. Cold, fire, crowd control, and on top of that, I think Blade Barriers were on Reflex. Yes, on Reflex, and they always gonna deal damage because it's Reflex half. So, that's how you play with a Firestorm. We ended up on a Firestorm here. Late game, I said, that's the most important, the rest doesn't matter. Resurrection, you can always buy scrolls. 8, again, it's Firestorm. You see how many usages of Firestorm I got. And of course, Mass Heal. Mass Heal, do not forget to use Mass Heal and have that extra slice of health on all allies, as you can see now. 55 plus their own health. And of course, before entering the fight, you will want Holy Aura. And the last spells, of course, you want to cast Heroic Invocation the moment when you enter the map, no matter if it's a fight or not. Because it lasts very long, 10 minutes per level. It really lasts long. It never expires, basically. You want Winds of Vengeance, and you want Fiery Body non-stop on, because they're a minute per level, they're gonna last 20 minutes easily, alright? And that would be it for spells. So, Daeran can control like 4 or 5 fights before resting. He can control at least 2 fights with Firestorm and Grandmaster Rods and Quicken Rods. Okay, at least 2 fights before resting with those. Then he can control fights with Flame Strike and Blade Barrier. At least 2 more fights without rest, so that would be 4 fights on Unfair without rest. And after that, he can act as a statue with Battle Meditation and boost his allies while healing them and while casting single target damage with a Bone Shaker. So, Daeran can easily last from 6 to 10 fights on Unfair without resting late game. Alright, early game, Daeran is a buffer and a healer. Mid-game, Daeran is a buffer, healer, debuffer, and small damage dealer. Late game, Daeran is great pre-buffer, amazing damage dealer, AoE damage dealer, and great to control enemies also. Once he's out of spells, he can always act as a statue because of a mythic path from Battle Meditation. As I said as a final note, I strongly believe that Daeran is the most powerful companion. That's absolutely valid. With mercs, with going with your main and only Daeran, okay, you can clear. This is just an amazing class. Oracle basically is an amazing class, and you should always have Daeran in your party, no matter what act.